All right. We're ready to rock.
Let's get it.
Okay. So, all right. Episode 9 of the War Room. I've got Fatty Clark here. And boy, we got an interesting one today.
Man, we should have set this up in the garage. We just about had a 45-minute conversation in the garage there.
That's what's trouble about these things is you want to get it all on camera, and you get talking beforehand. We had to stop ourselves several times.
Yeah. We just still been out there talking.
Absolutely. So, Fatty, hey, it's a pleasure to sit down with you.
I'm excited. I'm just happy to be here, buddy.
I am excited that you've got into this side of the sport and doing the track shot stuff. And it is really, really neat because I think you bring a great perspective. You're a freaking legend of the sport. And it's awesome to see you guys do that.
Well, I tell you what, I actually think it's my calling. It's the most fun I've ever had at a demolition derby, besides running, the track shot guys, they welcome me with open arms, and we're just a bunch of ass clowns. So
you're having fun. It's like, it's like the boys in the garage.
Oh yeah. I tell you what, that's why I don't take my wife with me a whole lot when I do that. So, but no, the track shot guys, like I said, it's fun. They let me go and be wild and crazy and be a little creative every now and again. And I don't even know why they send the camera with me, but it's a blast. I have a great time.
Well, then you and Decker go back and forth a little bit.
And that's fun. Yeah. I've been fired 3 times in 3 shows. So yeah.
Now is that legit firing or is that a?
Well, once was, okay. And then he called me and we made up. We got back together and stuff. Sometimes if you ride the boss a little too hard, he's got to crack that whip.
Decker's smart enough to realize that that's good TV.
Yeah,
seriously.
And that's what he said. He said, as bad as I want to fire you, I've had so many great messages about you. I'm just not going to.
Because Decker's on that. There's different, if you think about the United States, there's the West Coast and there's us here in the Midwest, and then he's the East Coast. It's different derbying everywhere.
Oh yeah. I make fun of him all the time, but really I'd never tell him to his face, but I kind of envy him because, I spend so much time and money on my car, and it's still, at the end of the day, it's not right. You still got something else to do. Decker will pull a motor out of the weeds and have a car built in 3 days and have the time of his life, dude, and have $1,000 in the car and not have a care in the world.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
And he's always like, well, I want to be on your level. No, dude, I want to be on your level where, I can get back to where I was like 17, 18 years old again and building cars like that and not giving a damn, just loading up with my buddies and going and having a good time.
That's what's cool about you guys getting together. Those different perspectives. I think you can touch on the different egos or personalities in the derby world, and that's neat.
Yeah, because I've never had a guy tell me I will junk your Crown Vic with my minivan, but he tells me that every time he sees me. So.
Hey, and I've seen some front wheel drive to handle some Vics. I mean, they move around pretty good.
I drove an 07 Crown Vic at the Dead Man Derby in Sowers' most wanted fine arts class, and a 15-year-old kid in a minivan flat jumped me.
That's what I like about that class, because where else are you going to see that?
You're not. There was a Jeep Liberty out there, minivan. Anything, a Durango. I think the Durango is the biggest car you can have in that class. It's a great class. It is. I got 3 hours of building a car. It was a great class.
Absolutely. And I'm envy of you too, because I've never really ran that stock stuff too much.
I'll tell you what, you ever stripped a car and I had to pull the engine out?
No.
It's the greatest thing ever. Battery box, gas tank, maybe some tires, and you're gone. So
I don't even know what I would do.
I'll tell you what, you get one, I'll come and help you. I only live 9 minutes away from you. So.
That's what made this easy, is Fatty's right down the road here.
Yeah. I was like, send me your address, and it's literally 9 minutes down the road here.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, the reason why we're doing this, Fatty, is there was some conversation on the internet. We started going back and forth, having some good conversation, and then I said, hey, why don't you come over for a podcast? I think people want to hear this stuff,
and I think they need to hear it. I really do.
So let's start it, man. We got a lot of topics we want to cover and go over. The first of which is, where is the sport of demolition derby? Where was it, and where is it today?
Well, in my opinion, in the early 2000s and stuff, it was climbing. We were going places. You had big derbies like Dent. It was on TV. It was on the Speed Channel. You could watch it on Sunday mornings, And then it kind of fell off right at 2004, 2005. Dent went away. Nobody kind of picked up the slack with the big shows. So, they started running a couple little bow dunk point systems down in, around Ohio and stuff. And that's kind of where it all changed, because once that point system come in my opinion, that's where the derby aspect on the track changed, because you had guys, well, I'm going to win the point system, so now we're going to split money. And when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I never even heard of somebody splitting money at a derby. So that's kind of changed that point on the track, in my opinion.
So changing things on the track, like that has certainly happened in today's world. But let's reel this back in, because of changing things on the track. Is it a hobby? Was it a hobby? Is it transitioned to a sport? Is that part of the changing things? What's going on there?
See, for like somebody like me, my dad ran demolition derby, so it was a sport. It was, I'm going to be the best derby driver county fair wise around. I'm going to run 30 county fairs. And to me, it was a sport, because if your dad played football, you'd go watch your dad play football, or you'd go watch him practice. If I wanted to see my dad, I had to go to the shop, because he was doubling tires or putting a cage in a car or whatever. So in my opinion, it is a sport. But to a lot of people, you got some like Jason Sowers' class. I would consider that a hobby, because you got anybody that can beat the windows out of it and come and run that show. And they got $200 in the car. They can junk it, sell the converter off of it. That's a hobby, With that being said, what separates that is the money, I think, because like I said, the hobby guy's got $200 in his car. He's a weekend warrior. He's going to go out there and have a great time. The sport guys, they've taken it to a whole new level, and they got $25,000 in a derby car. It's unheard of, and it kind of and what that hurts the sport, because nobody wants to tear that stuff up.
So I agree with you, and I think a sport is defined by a couple things. I think you got to have competition at the highest level.
I agree with that.
I'm not sure in today's world we have that. You mentioned Dent. That was the pinnacle back in the day, right?
Yeah.
The Dent, the Metal Mayhem stuff.
Yep.
That's where everyone went. There's so many shows in today's world that, the best, you're never really going to catch the best of the best. Well, maybe you do, but you don't know it. Right. At one show. So to be a sport, you got to have that, right? And there's got to be like the Daytona 500 where, hey, we're gearing up. I think there's been shows that have caught that, like definitely Bash for Cash through the years. I mean, there was lightning right there.
Oh yeah. We come out hot.
Yeah. There was years that was right. And now it seems like we're in this like limbo again of where that is. And then the team stuff has kind of came in.
Yeah.
And things are changed. And I don't know if we really care for that. Me and you, and that's kind of the conversation we had, because
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And don't get me wrong. I'm sitting here saying that, and I've done it. I've shut off from my buddy. I've split money with people because we didn't want to tear our cars up. But this WWE style of demolition derbies just isn't cutting it anymore. That's why you're only getting 30 cars, or you're only getting 1,200 people at your event, or you're only getting, it just goes on and on, so it all starts there, I think. And
so I agree with you. It seems like the team shows have offered this almost like a safe place.
Oh,
like, people say this shit all the time, and in the real world, but like, you don't want to make your buddy mad.
No,
you don't want to hurt your buddy's feelings.
Right.
We can't have that in a sport. Tom Brady has to play Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes has to play Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Right now, Joe Burrow's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, who's widely considered the best quarterback in the NFL. Where do we have any of those matchups? We don't have those matchups here.
And if you do, there's some backdoor stuff going on, because they don't themselves. the show that you want to see, they don't want to put on.
Why?
Because
why can't we get there?
If they're afraid, everybody's got to go home with their ego. And if you beat me, you've beat my ego. And I can't have that. So I'm just going to shut my car off, make a deal with you, and I can go home and be like, hey, he didn't beat me. I shut my car off.
How do we get that to change, man?
You have to stop paying them when you know they did it. Like it starts with the promoter itself, because the fans can't do nothing about it. The other drivers can't do nothing about it. And everybody knows it's happening, you know? So if a promoter is sitting there and these two guys got two badass cars, and all of a sudden one just shuts off, that and you know deep down that's not happening. You know, that doesn't happen. Don't pay them.
So I think what you're saying there can absolutely happen.
Oh, definitely.
If there wasn't 20 other promoters waiting to take advantage of that.
You're exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the messed up thing about it is we can't have that accountability because we're not organized as a sport. There's not one collective entity that we fall under. You know, if so-and-so does it, then everyone's going to say, oh, I'm going to go run for Triple D. If Triple D does it, then everyone says, I'm going to go run for someone else. You know,
they're going to, it's tough because like, you know, me and you talked before, there's no consequences for doing it. Nothing. I mean,
but we're doing the sport a disservice.
Oh yeah, you're cheating people. Like I said, it's like a WWE thing. Anything that's predetermined, you're robbing the fans that paid $8. You know, by the time they get in that seat, they're at $30. You know, just to watch the show, because you know you got to buy your pop, you got to buy some popcorn, then you got to buy your seat. You're robbing them people. And like I said, don't think I'm just like I'm Angel, because I've done it, but I'm not doing that no more. Me and my buddy Joey talked about it last year, and that's who I run with all the time, Joe Linky. And we're done with it, and we're gonna get it on, you know. And it's going to be one of the best shows you've ever seen, because we got some badass shit, you know.
And that's the stuff that's entertaining right there, is because the next time you guys run together, I'll be damned if I'm not going to tune in because I want to see it,
right?
You know. And I tried to create a little bit of that with the Tim stuff over in Iron City.
Yeah.
People want to see that entertainment.
Yeah.
Look, we're getting in a cage. I always tell people this is freaking UFC, man, with cars.
Yeah,
like,
you're exactly right.
You don't know what the hell is going to happen. So you could beat me, I could beat you. You could be 10-0 against me, you know, and then all of a sudden I get lucky, like the KO shot or whatever. We've got to have that in the sport, and we just don't have
it. And I don't know if you'll ever get it back, because I mean, you people grew up nowadays with getting participation trophies, so they don't really care to lose. It's not ingrained into them. Losing's fine. You know, if I don't beat this guy, but if I split with him, I'm still taking something home. So technically I didn't lose.
Yeah.
You know, but how do you get away with that? I really don't know. But at the end of the day, it's got to start with the promoter, because he's the one with all the control. The only reason that the Derby driver's there is for that trophy and that money. And there's only one person that has that control, and that's the promoter, you know.
So we'll get into a little more of that, but that's good stuff. We're missing the Fatty Clark that's 19 years old that goes and wins Dent. Yep. We're missing that demographic in the world, because whether it's with us and we run the format, or it's other promoters that run their shows, that demographic feels like they don't have a shot, feels like they can't compete because of the teams, because they're not in the in crowd, they're not in the buddy system. We need to get back to where Fatty Clark at 19 years old is building the car in his damn driveway to come compete and actually can compete.
Right. Well, where you have to start that is at the county fair level. It's just got to get back to everything else. It's just like, you know, we want it to be a sport. So you're going to have an amateur level and a professional level at that point to get these guys to that point. So county fairs, in my opinion, you shouldn't have headers. Anybody should be able to build a demolition derby car for a county fair and go compete. You know, now you should have size classes, you know, mini cars and full size. but anybody can go buy a Crown Vic or an Impala and go out. And whether you don't win, you're going to have a ball and you're not going to feel like you're cheated because the guy over there's got $25,000 in his derby car at a Bowdoin County Fair.
Well, and I think that's where the organization comes in.
Yes.
Like that is robbing the lack of that organization is robbing the sport, because it's robbing those guys with the ability, those fans that want to come compete. Mm-hmm. We're one of the few motorsports in the nation where if you were never in a derby car and you decided next week you want to get in one, you could meet a guy like us, mm-hmm. and we'll freaking get you in one.
Right.
Like we'll tear out, we'll knock out the windows for you. We'll make it, not start off the key, whatever it is, right. and throw you in a car.
Yep.
And we're missing appealing to those people and building our sport because of that.
Because you have that guy sitting in the crowd, just like you said. And then you have that guy with that $25,000 derby car that just pulled into the county fair. And he's like, I'd love to run, but I can't compete against that guy,
Yeah, we can't have those guys stroking their egos at the county fair.
Right. And if you do want to stroke your ego, build a street stock car.
Yeah.
That's where it's like lawnmowers. Okay. Lawnmowers were supposed to be for children, to get started before this youth class comes. You see these lawnmowers, these guys are,
it's insane.
They're insane.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Go buy a Crown Vic, start from there and go up, there's no level. You're either in or you're not. And we got to figure a way out to let the people in and still compete and have a good time. If the guy buys a $700 Crown Vic, cuts the converter off of it, he makes his money back there. He goes out and gets third in the Derby. He's a customer for life, and he's going to have more fun and tell more people about your Derby than that guy with that $25,000 car.
So exactly what you're talking about there, being a customer for life, furthering the sport. In all reality, you're going to have money in the sport for it to be a sustainable sport.
Yes.
You need those customers, so to speak, right?
Yep.
The good old boys, hey, man, I'll do anything to help you out. All that stuff. Yes, that's great. But you got to understand that if we're going to have a sport, it's got to be healthy. I've mentioned this all the time. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a healthy sport. Meaning, you talk about the NFL, they always say protect the shield. What are we actually protecting in Demolition Derby? Like, is there anything collective that we're moving towards?
Nothing.
We're not doing anything collectively, no. Right? There's not a pot that it goes to. There's not an organization that it goes to make sure safety's happening, make sure inspections are none of that. These other organizations, Fatty, they have money going towards that.
Oh yeah. Well, for a prime example, what I've ever understood for like county fairs, the Tractor Pulling Association, when those guys pull in, they have a card. They get in free because they're a part of an association. So, it's expensive getting into a county fair. Mm-hmm. That deters a lot of people because they want their family to come. Why don't we have an association that you say you pay a $2 fee that would pay for your card, but you'd have to get all the county fairs on. If you're a part of that association, you get in for free, just like you would.
I've been pushing this on the internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like not exactly that.
Yeah.
But
that's just an example of, like you said, the association getting it together, trying to,
No, you're right. That's exactly what we
need. So
because when a county fair, you've been around this. Mm-hmm. I mean, that these negotiations with county fairs, when we go negotiate, they almost look at us like we're second fiddle, like they're counting their money, before the Derby actually happens. We funded at least in Ohio, we funded these county fairs. I always say they've milked the cow for 20 years and never fed it. And that's Demolition Derby, right? But when tractor pulls come in, they can say, all right, it's going to take $20,000, $30,000 to get us at your show. And they sign that contract without hesitation. If we were to say that.
And what's funny about that is I like watching tractor pulls, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. They pay that $30,000 and you go there and there's 1,500, 1,800 people there. You go to the Derby, there's 4,000 people there for the county fair. So we're paying for that $30,000, which isn't fair.
No, actually there was a post like not too long ago, and a couple people saw it. There was a county fair member or a board member that literally said, our derby doesn't make any money. We take the derby money and we pay for all the things that lost money. And I said, have you ever thought, I screenshot it, it's on my phone. Have you ever thought for a second, okay, to get rid of the shit that doesn't make any money, right, and take care of us?
Right.
But again, it's our own fault because we don't have that sanctioning body. We're not coming to the table because, like I bid county fairs, Tim bids county fairs.
Well, yeah, don't take it. It's cutthroat.
That's exactly what it is. We can't do that.
You can't do that. Like Tim puts on, I think he put on 34, 35 derbies, county fairs in Ohio. He could do that. He could put that in his contract, but he's not going to if you're not going to, and you're not going to if Derby Dog don't do it. And nobody. It's all back to the ego part again. And the promoter. And I'm not smashing you or Tim or Jeremy or nothing, but for this to happen, you guys are the biggest promoters in Ohio. You got a couple guys. You got Twisted Metal. They put on 12, 13 derbies. You got Bill Merritt up north. He puts on 8 or 9 derbies. If all you guys would just be like, listen, at the fair convention, you guys are all there at the same time, but it'll never happen.
Why not?
Because it starts with you guys, and
I'm willing to do it. Why not? I don't even need 20 county fairs. Just right. Those guys can take the county fairs, and
I would love it. That'd be awesome. If
I tried to do it with the qualifying shirts, and work together there and get that going. But look, if you don't have, like you said, if you don't have everyone on board, it ain't gonna work.
Dude, we're nice shirts too.
Yeah, a lot of people like.
I got a couple of them.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, they're nice.
You got.
But like I said, if you would do that, is it going to freak the county fair guys out? Are they going to deter because like they're going to come? You know how negotiation goes down there. They're going to come to you and be like, "Hey, Tim wants us to give these guys free entries into our derby, but if you don't, we'll probably sign." That's
where it just needs to happen under one voice,
right?
And a piece of the pie. I think a piece of the pie, and then we can translate this to a national level thing too, but a piece of the pie, I think, is greater than the whole pie in everybody's circle except for one. There's one guy that
he's got that whole pie.
He's got the whole pie, right?
Right.
But his piece might have to shrink a little bit, but his piece will be a lot easier to maintain.
But he likes to eat.
He does like to eat.
He likes that. He
likes to eat, but
he likes that pie.
But we'd be sitting here being naive, really, if he didn't. He's got to help lead that. What I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I mean, he's got the platform for it. He really does. Does he want to make waves with that? I don't know. Because he's
well, it's tough because you're gonna almost have to trust your enemies at that point.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, you're gonna have to believe in everybody to do that. And then once it goes, really, it you guys don't get none of the gate money. When you do your contract, you might get some pit pass money, but the gate money itself, you don't have nothing in charge of that. So it would be on the fair board. You got, and I'm not saying you're getting your whole family in.
No,
you're getting the derby driver in.
Yeah,
because he's a part of that association.
It can work,
but you have to regulate because you don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry buying a $2 pass for a derby association and getting in every derby for free in the country. Like, I believe you have to have your car. There's got to be a guideline with it. Yep. If you ain't got a car, you're here to watch. You're not running, So
I shared a podcast not too long ago, and it was Brian France, who was the president of NASCAR. His dad's Bill France. He was on the Dale Jr. download doing exactly what we're doing right now. And they had an awesome conversation. And he talked about NASCAR and the challenges that they ran into as they've grown. And it was so eerily similar to what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a motorsport, right?
Yeah.
The biggest problem they had is the tracks owned all the rights, right? So the analogy he made was everybody thinks that they can buy the car, right? When you go to a dealership, I can negotiate the best price. Right. Everyone thinks that. He got those guys to come under one umbrella, and in 1 year, the revenue for NASCAR raised 400%. They went from $100 million contract to a $400 million contract in 1 year. Now it's in the billions.
Right.
But just think about if in 1 year the Derby world could, establish a bottom line of revenue, and then go 400% above that. And I'm telling you, I feel like I'm beating my head against the wall sometimes, right. But it can happen.
Oh, it can happen. It's just all of it's got to fall in together. And like I said, you got to put the right people in the right place to be the voice. Like you said, we all know who the voice is. Tim, he's got a lot of pull with that. But like I said, Tim he deals with a lot of county fairs, and that's a big wave. You're asking a lot from that county fair. So, and then, like you said, it's a whole trust issue again. I got to trust that you're going to do the same thing. I mean, because you can tell me whatever you want. I don't get to read your contract. I might see it down the line somewhere.
Yeah.
But when we're dealing that right now, it's just your word. So, I mean, I don't know how you would go about that, but I think it's a great idea.
yeah. Well, exactly. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe we'll brainstorm on that later. But yeah, it's it would be cool, because I've always said that, because I was actually with a guy that had tractor pools, and we pulled in and he showed him that card. I had to pay, and I was like, "What was that?" He's like, "Oh, we're part of the association. We don't pay to get in here."
Huh. So with that said, that kind of brings me into this. The media. So, and we don't necessarily have a go-to media, or we don't necessarily have an avenue where you can see everything. Mm-hmm. I think the media, has to play a part in this, right, and building these drivers up, creating these shows. If everyone was to work together, right, and create this national show or whatever, and nobody covers it, well, that doesn't do us any justice either.
Right.
So you've got different entities: Track Shot Live, Derby Tees, you got All Firm Racing, right? You've got a bunch of guys doing this stuff now.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Sickles is starting a podcast.
Yeah.
I think his is tonight, actually.
Yeah. He's doing one tonight. Yeah. You're on one on Saturday.
Yeah. I go to Pittsburgh on Saturday with Sowers on Cash on the Hood. All the Track Shot Live guys are going down there. So,
yeah. So this is starting. This needs to become a thing. Like, there needs to be critiques of derbies, and there's so much like bullshit that's said about shows, not just mine, just in general, right? That there's got to be like a gatekeeper, like
a fact checker.
Yes,
that's what we
need.
A
freaking fact checker.
Yes, we need a fact checker in demolition. Because like, man, I was talking to you about your draws.
Uh-huh.
I said that was the only thing that negative thing that I heard about your show, and you was like, no, we did it right there in the track. I was like, well, dude, I heard you did it in the bathroom. I heard you did it in the booth.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where does that shit come from? Like, we've got to stop that. Like,
right.
What else do you want me to do? And then not only my shows, but like, whether it's different calls on the track or whatever. Look, people make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
This shit is hard.
Oh, it's tough, dude.
I mean, the NFL, I keep referring, they're $1 billion business. And any given Sunday, you can watch the NFL, and boy, do those refs really screw some shit up.
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
But think about it. You're out there, you're a ref. And it to me, derbies is more important than football. So to me, like, you got Joe Burrow for Cincinnati. If I'm a Cincinnati fan, if I was a ref, I'd probably be paying a little more attention to him than what I'm supposed to be doing. So when it comes to derbies, if I got, say Toby Hiley or Trace Brown out there, or, just anybody, you're going to watch them guys, and really you should be watching this guy that just died, that they just drove through, because that's your job. It's not watching them guys,
So the professionalism of that side, I know that's one of the things that we talked about, having a conversation, how important wall officials are, even to the inspection, right?
Yeah.
The professionalism of that, with a sanctioning body or an organization, everything, then you can hold people more accountable to those things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're all fans right now.
Oh yeah.
Like, every single one of us are fans. So you're right. It's tough to stand on the wall.
It's tough. I did it for 22 years, and I ain't gonna lie, I've stood there and watched the derby and was like, oh man, maybe I should have been putting this guy on the clock. And to me, like, wall official, the most important thing to them is a stopwatch.
Mm-hmm.
I hate going to a derby and watching them beat their sticks together, counting. That drives me crazy, because this guy's counting, but this guy's over here, he's counting, you know? So that's not fair. When you do that stopwatch, everybody gets a minute. You ever watched a minute? A minute is a long time sitting there watching it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been in the car,
right,
trying to win a derby, and you're like, how long is this guy's minute? You know,
right, and it never fails. That guy's just cranking it 55 seconds. He fires up, makes that hit, and dies. You gotta watch him for another minute. But that's the most important thing a track official can have, in my opinion, is a stopwatch. Because whether you get 2 minutes or 60 seconds or 30 seconds, you counting and your buddy counting across the track are counting two different speeds.
Yeah.
That stopwatch is going to the same. It's going to count 60
doesn't
seconds.
Lie.
It doesn't lie.
So with that said, when does a clock start? We call it a shot clock when we're talking to our guys?
And once again, it's different situations. You know, you got a guy and like I said, I was an official for 22 years. If I got a guy out there holding it to the wood and just putting on a show, yeah, when he goes down and he gets hit, I'm going to give him 5-10 seconds to figure out what he's got going on. And then we're going to put him on the clock. You never put somebody on the clock as soon as they hit a car. You can't.
I agree. It never happens.
It never happens.
And that's when people argue with you, like, oh man, that was right at a minute. It's like, no, it was like 115, right. 120, maybe.
Right.
You know
we don't put a guy on the clock when he pulls to the end of the track.
No. You didn't just hit a car and then you go on the clock. Like, right. I don't know anyone that's ever
Nobody does that. And like I said, and I'll be the first to admit it, when I was a track official, if you're putting a good show on for me, and I tell you, I'm going to give you a minute in the driver's meeting, I'm going to give the guy that's holding his car to the floor a minute 15.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a crowd pleaser, and that's what we're all there for. So without that crowd, we're not, you know. Now, if it's down to first and second, you got to be straight and narrow. If it's in the money, I don't care how hard you're running your car. At the end of the day, you get a minute when it's into the money.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, into the money. I mean, it's
that's important. You don't give no extra time. You don't take no time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so. And that's my personal opinion about it. And
no, that's some good stuff. I always I wonder if people see it different ways. And
oh yeah, we're the biggest idiots in the world. You know? Yeah, I mean, I've been cussed out by more grandmas that's only been to 3 derbies her whole life because I was the biggest idiot in the world. But like the track officials, they're just as important as your head official that's inspecting the cars. You know, you spend a lot of money on tech officials to have good tech officials. They're not cheap. I don't give a damn what anybody says. They're not cheap. How much do you think you don't spend half that on a track guy? You're like, hey, the derby's about to start. You're done selling t-shirts. Go grab a flag real quick. And that guy, don't get me wrong, you have another guy on that other corner that's got a little more experience than this guy. But your good tech officials, they just work 37 hours in 3 days inspecting cars. They're not wanting to work the track.
They never do.
They never want to work the track.
I couldn't get Toby Hiley to come to the track. I mean, he's gone. Dude, derby starts, he's gone.
Throw some biscuits up there. That's the only way we got him there at the bash. Fresh bowl biscuits, he'd go up there all day.
Yeah.
All right. But you got to understand, Toby just stood on his feet for 37 hours. And that's horrible. He just argued with every hillbilly in the place, because you don't just get to argue with the driver you may cut your car apart. You're arguing with his buddy. You're arguing with his wife because it's bullshit. We drove all the way here and you're making us cut our car up, you know.
And my husband would never do anything.
He would never cheat.
He read the rules and that's what he
You just don't like him. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the track of it's tough. It's so tough because the people that should be there, they're derby drivers, and that's who you hire to inspect your cars. But like you said, you just worked in the death, and now you want them to stand out in the sun for another 37 hours in the next 3 days. So I think every big show promoter, you can get away with it at county fairs. You know, you're like, you do county fairs. You're on the wall during the county fair. You're in the booth. You know what's going on. At the big shows, you can't always do that and stuff. So at a big show, I think there should be 2 veteran officials on each side at all times, because at the end of the day, they know what's going on. They can tell who's running with who's teaming this guy, who needs, because, you know, you'll let some people get worked over and you're like, all right, he needs a break, get him out of there. You know, you got to be able to recognize that stuff. And I mean, because all in all, derbies are a team show. People can get wore out at a derby real quick, you know, and you got to have that experience to watch it. You got to have the experience to know when to put it on the clock or or, they're very important. And I think it gets overlooked very, very often.
I'm thinking about like our shows and how we do things. I mean, we try to put the best people on the wall too, but you're right. You'll spend a month making a decision on a head inspector.
Oh yeah.
And you'll spend 10 minutes putting people on the wall.
Yeah. Not care.
Who's around.
Right. Go grab a flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on the wall. And next time you put a derby on, just watch them. 90% of them are watching the derby.
So we have like bi-weekly meetings with our guys, and we talked about a lot of this. So with the way we run our show and our format and everything, one thing that I did not anticipate was with 3 cars on the track, it will wear you out as an official. Oh. Because every single time there's contact, you're not sure if that's going to be the last contact.
Right.
So there is so much communication. That's something that we never, and even the first year that we ran the format, we didn't have to deal with it as much. It kind of was, it's just self-serve. Like it just took care of itself. But this last year, holy shit, you put 25,000 on the line. I mean, you better get it right.
Oh yeah. Now.
And you just didn't know. That was one thing we didn't realize, man, that was tough.
Oh yeah.
Because what is, like, for you, what's contact? Do you have to make contact with a front bumper or a rear bumper, or can you slide into somebody?
Contact's contact to me. Now, whether it's, if you tell them you got to make aggressive contact, who determines what's aggressive?
When they don't have steering, they got 2 flat tires.
Yeah, their car's hot.
What is?
Contact, when it comes down to 2 cars, and if both cars are steaming, smoking, if that one starts up, now you can't do a starter hit. You got to be physically engine running.
Mm-hmm.
If you bump that guy, you win. Because he's in the same boat you are. If he would start up, bump you, you lose, he wins.
So we caught a little bit of hell last year for mutual contact.
Oh, geez.
Mutual contact is a thing, in my opinion. Like if 2 cars are moving into each other, right? Who do you give credit to?
Well, if they're both coming forward, that's
how can you call that, right? So that was the thing that maybe like in a normal derby, you don't really think about too much. You just kind of, all right, it is what it is. You let it go, unless it's down to 2.
Yeah.
But then you really got to be on your A game. Well, hell, it's down to 2 13 times last year in the damn heat. Right. So usually you only have like one feature that it's really down to that. And some of these features will solve themselves, right? Pretty
Absolutely.
Easy. We did not anticipate that down to 2 and being so freaking intense, man.
Well, with that much money on the line, a big show like that, if it does happen, I mean, you almost have to take both of them.
Ooh, you got me in.
Oh, but you're gonna.
All right, people want to hear this, I'm sure. We did that last year, remember?
Yeah.
And it was like, was it first heat? No, it wasn't first heat.
Now was that
It was Cassidy and Roman.
And Roman, yeah.
So that was a real good one. And what happened, Fatty, is Cassidy backs up.
And he was losing a tranny or didn't have steering or something.
He was just hot.
He was hot. Okay. That's what it was. His engine
was hot.
Yeah, his engine was hot.
So we know he's hot, right? Everyone knows he's hot.
Yeah.
But he's got to play the game, right? And he's look, last year it's you either win or you go home.
Right.
And we just talked about people and their ego. Like people don't want to do that.
No, we're burning it down.
Yeah. So he Roman's coming back like this here. And I know you guys can't see this, but Roman's coming back like this and Brian's coming here. They both have to move to engage in the contact.
Yeah.
Well, he goes underneath the center rails of his car. So it's like, wait, did Brian just shut off? Okay.
Right.
What's going on there? Because we know his motor's hot. Did he just play the game? Like, how do we call that? So our determination. Well, first, how would you call that?
How would I have called that? If I'd have, Brian's car was hot. I was there.
Okay.
And Brian's car was smoking hot. I'd have probably unseparated them, to be honest with you, because I always had a thing that I wouldn't let them in hung up.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, now you're hung up. So Brian would have been pissed, but I'd have unhung them and they'd have had a minute to make contact. That's how I'd have probably handled that.
That absolutely went through my head.
Right.
And the decision that we made, I was fortunate enough to watch it upstairs. Yep. So the call didn't happen right away. Because everyone was like unsure, like, hey, what, we were communicating, you know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
And I got to watch it, and I just said, hey, look, it was mutual contact, right?
Right.
We know Brian's car is not restarting. Okay.
It was odd.
Technically, it felt like you almost could have, if you were going to err on the side of anything, Brian was the one that more engaged in the contact.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I get you. If it was like you said, he come into the side and hit him, he made the contact, Corey rubbed him.
Yeah. So we were like,
but
what in the hell do you do? Yeah. So that kind of set the tone for the show, which really sucked for us because, then you had another heat later on where they kind of tried to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Then you had to reestablish that, look, we're only taking one. Right. So that was tough, man.
Oh, well, like you said, you just never can prepare for a demolition derby. You never know what's going to happen. We put the bash on one time and it rained, and dude, you couldn't get the cars in the pits. Timmy went and bought 50 ton of gravel or 150 tonner. It was a stupid amount of gravel. 2 hours later, you couldn't even tell he bought gravel. We was having a hard time getting cars in the track. You know, it's just stuff you don't plan for. But with that's a tough call. That's a tough call.
No, it was tough, and I'm sure we took a couple, mother efforts for that call.
Yeah. Well,
and favoritism. People always, when something doesn't go someone's way, they always want to pull out the old favoritism card.
Oh yeah.
I seriously don't think, what benefit does it give us to favor anyone?
Nothing.
Seriously.
Nothing. No, that's it. I've heard it for years, and what's funny is the guy, like, if you ran against Brian Cassidy, you guys would probably get it on, or you might run together, but at the end of the day, you're going to drive through Brian, or Brian's going to try to drive through you. You're not buddies.
We have to beat each other, right? I mean,
yeah, how the crowd, it blows my mind. You could be 9 hours away from your house and still have a favorite. So,
I'm like, I never talked to that person in my life. I mean, no idea that's my favorite.
Yeah, okay. They're in an Olds, a front wheel drive Olds. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that cracks me up. But good stuff. So let's make sure we're hitting all topics. So look, to circle back around, in today's world, all right, what sells in a demolition derby?
Well, it's right now, I think if you can crease a car and get on Facebook and you have a loud engine, it has nothing to do with how good that car's built. It has nothing to do with how great a driver you are, builder, nothing. It's just about how it looks. And that's don't get me wrong, there's a lot of guys that can crease some cars and make them look really good. But at the end of the day, they're not really good derby cars. Like, look at Toby Hiley's car. I've made fun of Toby Hiley since Iron City Nationals for them big goofy ass tires he runs on the back of his car. Did you see them things?
I did see him.
Yeah, wonder what happened to him at the Turkey Derby. Yeah. Oh, he got a flat with his big goofy tires. But that's what I'm saying. Toad's car didn't look like the best car there. But at the end of the day, it was one.
I don't know. I think once you put the 422 on the side, it becomes the best car there. You could have put that on a front wheel drive, and all of a sudden it's like, there's the favorite.
Yeah, I beat him. So
you have beat him.
Yeah. Him and the same night. But it's tough to beat him. It's tough.
Yeah.
And if you ask him, he was like, so you was at the popcorn stand most of the feature, was he? Because I didn't see you at all. Yeah, you got to hear his story about it.
Absolutely.
But where it's going, the problem with it is if you got some big shiny headers and you buy the engine thing, it's not about. When I grew up, I wanted the Ziz engine because it rang my ears in the pits when I was outside. I heard him adjusting it with a dime. He pulled a dime out of his pocket and idled his carburetor up, wrapped that son of a bitch. I was hooked. I'm buying a Ziz engine. As soon as I get old enough, I'm buying a Ziz engine.
Yep.
There is none of that no more. Everybody's got good engines now. There's no standout product or anybody anymore that's just you got big name guys, and a lot of guys cater to them and this and that. But at the end of the day, they're no better driver than
Well, how do we find out who the best driver is, man?
You never will, because at the end of the day, I think if you get you could take the top 50 guys in this country. At the end of the day, they're going to make a deal in the back door, and they're going to know who wins before they pull out there anyways. That's just my honest opinion, because that's where that ego comes in. Everybody thinks they're the best, but nobody really wants to put Toby Hiley. He'd put it up. Scott Zizelman, they'd put it up. You got a couple guys, Rob Hewer out west, they'd put it up. But there's not Derby guys like them no more.
I hope
you know what I mean.
I hope that you're wrong, because that's what we're trying to do with our format.
I do too.
Because I want to see it so bad.
Yeah, it's.
And not only do I want to see it, hell, I want to run it.
Dude,
but
if 50 grand won't bring them all together, what else could you do? What are you gonna do next year? 100? I mean, what's going to bring them together?
50 grand.
Okay.
That's cash.
That's cash.
Like, what do you want? Cash.
Well, I think
that's what people make in a year.
It's life changing to a lot of people. That
could build your shop.
Yeah. That would put a good down payment on your house.
I could take the 50 and build a nice shop. Probably.
Yeah. I'd probably bring 50 over here and buy all your Derby cars. I might have enough then.
Well, we're gonna get rid of a couple here soon.
But no, to get them all together, I don't know. And if you did, I don't know how good a show it would be.
I think
because at the end of the day,
well, this is why the format exists, because I don't think you could do it in a normal Derby. Now, look, I'm not saying that the format is the best solution to everything. It solves everything,
right?
But it's better than what we have if we can get those guys on the track, right?
Yeah. The heats is
the heats is the sell.
That's the sell right there. And then the feature is just going to be a regular Derby.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you have any control over that like you do in the heats. Because really, in the heats, you have the control. You don't determine who's getting drawed, but you're going to keep it. There's three on. There's
three in a group.
Three in a group.
Yeah.
There's no. You can't let two guys gang one guy. It's not going to happen. It's going to be easy to find.
Yeah, sure.
You get 15 cars out on that track. Two guys can gang one guy pretty easy and not go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the feature, I don't know. Do you limit your cars like count wise? Like you only take so many, so you only have so many in the feature?
We're only taking 100 cars.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you'll have how many in the feature?
There will only be 15 cars in the feature.
Oh, okay.
And that's it, because we're running 2 rounds. Right. So you'll have to win both rounds. You'll have to run Friday night, Saturday night,
and then a feature,
or come through the consi, and then the feature.
Oh, so you changed that up a little bit.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep. We're going to do 2 rounds.
I like that.
It'll eliminate the politics a little more.
Right.
And then it'll give the guys a second chance. Right. Because, although like for me, it's like the winner go home thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Because it puts so much pressure on you. But dude, these guys, they're heartbroken when they lose.
Yeah,
and I feel for them.
Oh yeah.
So to go home with a $30,000 car, $50,000 car,
half tore up, that you can't run anywhere.
Yeah,
else,
that you can't really run.
Yeah. No,
so
I get that.
We had to change that a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. I honestly do, because I think if you'd have took some of them other great cars that didn't make the feature in your show, it changes a lot in your feature, because it gives this guy another guy, or that guy another guy. You know what I mean?
But remember, it's still limited to 14, 15 cars.
Yes.
And that's not going to be a big feature with the 50.
Right. Right.
And then look, Fatty, if you've ran those heats, right, and you go and you beat 4 of the baddest dudes that's at the show, because that's what you're going to have to do straight up.
Right.
Dude, you deserve to do whatever it takes to win the 50.
Oh yeah. I agree with that.
And as a Derby fan, maybe at that point we're not, as a promoter, we're not appealing to everybody with the feature the way it's ran, right? We're appealing to like the true Derby guys.
Yeah.
But I think the true Derby guys in the sport deserve to see that play out, that 14, 15 car features play out and say,
I agree with
look, there's 50 grand on the line.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they got to do.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I like that. I like it that you're giving them that second chance though. I really do. I think that's going
to. And think about this, man. It feels like we, in our world right now, in the Derby world, we're rewarding the wrong things. There's the carrot, right? Of the 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to how is Fatty Clark going to get that in the normal Derby? What's going to happen? How are you going to drive?
Oh, me? I'm driving just like Trace Brown.
Okay.
I'm gonna have the baddest car on the track, and my back bumper ain't gonna roll at the end of the night. Why? Because I'm gonna try to run that way as long as the promoter will let me do that. And you can't. And Trace's car is bad. I'm not saying Trace sat in a corner all night long or nothing like that. Don't get me wrong, because Trace, he was wailing some people out there, but Trace drove to win, and that's how you got to drive to out there. I always said the Brahms, so they're the best big show guys to win, because at the end of the day, they don't care if Josh wins or if Trent wins or Joey wins. They just give a shit if one of them win. And that's why they've always been at the top at the bash, because at the end of the day, it's not, oh, Trent's supposed to win tonight. No, we're supposed to win. So that's why they'll always beat those guys, the other guys, because on their team, well, I want to win tonight, and his partner wants to win too. So he's not going to run. You see what I'm saying?
Their blood before guys, dishonor.
Yeah, and if you pick a fight, you better get it on, because at the end of the day, they've got it in their head. One of us is winning. And if Dad's got the best car when it's come down to 6 cars, we're junking ours so he can win.
Yeah,
and that. But for your show, it takes that whole aspect out of it. Because I mean, look at Joey. Joey went out there and got it on with Devin Allen Josh for what, hour and 15 minutes or something. And I mean, and it's not that they were pussyfooting around or not. You got 2 of the best guys in Ohio going at it. I mean, and that was kind of tricky too, because they got hung up a couple times, and that heat was probably a little hard rough on you too.
I tell you what, this stuff will make you old quick, man.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
I mean, it is not fun to be in.
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you the worst call I've ever made at a big show. It come down to Billy Pinwell, Trent Braun. I can't remember who got third, but Billy Pinwell probably had the Derby won, but his tranny was smoking so bad I couldn't even see him in the car, and I made the call to shut him off.
You think that was the worst call? I remember exactly that call.
That sticks to my mind, because if I had gave Billy another 30 seconds, his car might not have caught on fire, and he could have won that Derby. And you're taking the biggest Derby in the country at that time from a guy that's been running 40 years, wanting to win. He's over 60 years old out there competing with these guys. And I know him personally too. I know how bad they want to win and stuff. But at the end of the day, I couldn't watch him burn up in that car. And that's what I was thinking.
I don't think that was a bad call, man. Yeah. I was thinking that if they don't get him out of this car, we may see someone die.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And I'm telling you right now, I want to shake your hand now, just because, seriously, I thought that was a very tough call to make. But I thought you 100% made the right call, because the alternative, think about this, Fatty. The alternative is somebody gets hurt really bad.
Yeah, he was covered in tranny fluid.
Yeah,
and
the whole car. Let's not do that, right? Yeah. And look, Billy will forever think that he deserves probably that win. But man, he's still here today, and you don't even want to talk like that, but dude, that can happen in these cars
real quick.
And dude, there was so many people there. Could you imagine if something would have been awful?
It was awful. And to me, that was the hardest call, because it's still today. Did I take the bash from Billy Pinwell? I think about it all the time, because and would Billy still be running? Because, he wants to win the bash, so I don't know.
I don't think you made a bad call. I think you should sleep good at night.
And me and Tony, Tony gave me words, right? He was in his car, and we're pretty open with one another, me and Mr. Tony Pinwell. And the next day he texted me, "Hey, we need to take a ride on the golf cart." And he told me the same thing. I was upset at the time and this and that, but yeah, that was probably the toughest one that I remember. That really sets with me is that one.
There's one at the bash that was a little more controversial than that.
Which one?
Do you remember that one?
What are you talking about?
The Hailey Braun.
When Trent tracked him at 9 miles an hour.
How did that go down?
To be honest with you, and I've told Toby 1,000 times, it was so crazy at the time. We were yelling at the Brons to hit, and I believe Petro was still in, and Toby and Petro were kind of together, and it was down to the 3 Brons, and Toby got Trent really good with the back of his car, and Trent was pointed at him. And dude, no sooner than Trent floored this son of a gun, we start waving the red flag.
That was definitely under a red flag.
It was definitely 150% under a red flag.
And you know damn well they knew that too.
Yeah,
you know that.
It was under a red flag, yes.
Okay.
But it was down. I can't remember if it was down to 4 cars or 5. I can't remember.
That was down to them 5.
Was it
because it was Randy, Toby,
Petro.
Josh. Petro was out at 6, I think, because it was.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Unless Joey wasn't there. No, Joey was there because it was Joey, Josh, Trent.
Yeah.
And they got down to them 5, and Petro must have went out 6.
Yeah, and dude, Trent hit him at 100 mile an hour.
He junked that wagon, ass into that wagon,
and I don't mean to laugh because I mean, but at that point, as an official, yeah, you go out and throw him out. You do. Okay. It's just like me and you talked about sending 45 cars home out of 75.
Yep.
If we'd have threw Trent Brown out right there, there would have been a riot. Because at that time, Toby wasn't the most favorite person in the world. You know, that's when he was running, killing everybody. And they just watched Toby Hiley get drove through.
Yeah.
So that was probably the decision not to throw him out for it. And at the end of the day, you got to warn him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to warn a guy. You can't just, you know, guy hits a driver's door. If it's a little bump, you're going to warn him. If he, it's a messed up situation, really.
Yeah.
You know? But I do remember it plain as day.
Well, and then you guys have, this is what people don't necessarily think about, is you had 3 cars that were painted the same.
Yeah.
And then you had a lot of people, because I was in the crowd. Now, this is a totally different perspective. Maybe you haven't even heard, but I got people behind me that aren't educated on what's going on, right? And this is like a Mercer County, like, holy shit, it's about to go down, right?
Right.
This is all Mercer County.
Yeah.
And they don't know Randy and Toby are even together, let alone fucking father's son.
Right.
So, like, people are bitching and complaining. So that kind of puts you as a promoter in an extremely tough situation.
It does.
Because people, dude, I bet half the crowd didn't know. Now, I don't know how they didn't know. Right. Because, I mean, you're talking about 2 icons.
Yeah.
But they don't paint their cars the same.
No, and Randy's looks like some bugger eater car. I'll say
Randy's does not. Okay, yeah, you'll say it. But, like, Randy's does not look like Toby's.
No, nothing like
it.
Toby's.
Never has.
He's got a blue car with a white door with a 99 painted on it. And it's not creased very well. It's not that Tobe's car comes in the baddest car on the planet. He's got fancy stickers and this and that. And
I always wondered, like,
but you know,
Tobe, you ain't build your dad's car.
If right. No, he won't.
He didn't.
No. But if I remember right, I could be wrong on this. I think Tobe went down to save his dad. His dad was in trouble. And I think Tobe went down and he hit Trent. And that's when he kind of messed up. And I've seen Tobe chase his dad around a couple of times. I watched it cost him 10 grand at Lawrenceburg, Indiana one night. There was a rule. If a car was hung up and you knocked him off, he was out. Randy got hung up. They come down to Randy Hiley, Toby Hiley, and Trey Nichols. And Tobe went down, they threw him out. Yeah, the casino across the street paid for all of it. It was a pretty wild show. But
well, that one at Bash is one I remember.
Oh yeah, dude. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody hit somebody with a 76 Chevy wagon as fast as Trey hit Toby.
Well, Toby, I think it hurt his leg. Like, he hit his leg against the dash bar, and like he had some troubles after that with his leg.
Right. I think you're right. Huh.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
God dang, there's been some I don't even know what it would be like to be in your situation, because there's been some freaking heated stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
well, one year it come down to Paul Petro and Joey Braun, and Joey was against the wall and he's moving forward, and Paul come down and hit him, and Joey might have been moving forward, you know, it was over. You know, Joey
broke his rear end or something.
Yeah, it was over. Yeah. So, you know, that was a tough call. You know, how do you do that? But I mean,
dude, it's tough on this side.
Oh yeah, then you know that's a lot of money. $10,000, $12,000 to win. That's a lot of money. So good luck with your 50 grand.
Well, that's one thing Toby said last year is he felt the pressure.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the pressure was there. And when you don't really, like you say, hey, there's paying 25,000 and then it's paying 50,000 and whatever. Some things there's unintended consequences, right? You want to put the biggest stage on for the drivers to try to draw these drivers in and say, look, settle it on one track.
Right.
But the pressure that comes with that, on us, on our side, on Toby answering questions. I mean, Toby said he felt like he was on the phone for 6 months and he answers questions for 150 cars. And there was only 39 there that showed up, you know.
That was my wife's favorite thing. Once I stepped away from it, my phone never rang. Like, dude, you get people calling you at 2:30 in the morning wanting to know how to mount a battery box in a Cavalier.
Yeah.
You know, that's stuff you got to deal with because that guy lives in a total different time zone than you live in.
Yeah.
So he's got to know. I mean, I had a guy from Texas. He was from Lima. And this is when we were still putting the bash on at Bill Fountain, but he lived in Texas. He was going to drive a Ford Taurus, strip it out, a Ford Taurus, and tow it all the way from Texas up. I built this car over the phone. And when he got here, I was like, dude, I told you couldn't use coat hanger to put your battery box and gas tank in. So I had to go get him 9-wire and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but hey, that guy had more fun than anybody that weekend.
Well, and that's awesome. He's, coming all the way up to support you. And listen, you try to treat those guys, take care of them as much as you can.
Yeah, I love them guys.
But
I do.
They make the show. I mean, they're a part of it. So one thing, we got away from this a little bit. I want to go back to it.
Okay.
When a guy wins a big show.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about how many actual cars he beats?
The night that I won Dent, I had 34 cars in my heat. I want to say there was 37 cars in the feature. That's a lot.
That's a lot. How many? Well, think about how many cars that you take out, though. Let me rephrase.
I didn't hit a soul. I didn't hit nobody.
So that's kind of my point, though, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened when you paid this big money.
Mm-hmm.
Is it felt like we were rewarding the wrong thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. Because look, if I'm in a show, all right, and it pays 25,000, 50,000, 10,000, back in the day, it was equivalent to that.
Right.
I'm not hitting anyone either.
No,
there's no way.
No. After I won Dent, or I come out of my heat for Dent, and for Dent, after the heat, you had a half hour and you was only allowed 6 guys to work on your car. I was 19 years old. I wasn't smart enough to work on my car. So I had to stand there.
Mm-hmm.
And my one guy, my buddy, is kind of funny. He was like, you ain't going to work on it? I was like, does Jeff Gordon change his own tires? No, dude, I'm the driver. Well, what it all boiled down to, I wasn't smart enough to work on it.
Yeah.
I got off track where I was steering with that.
Well, beating the cars.
Yeah. But when I come out, I could put the windows back in my squareback wagon. I didn't hit a soul. And that's because I wanted to win. And before that, I had no idea how to sandbag. I was the snot-nosed kid that beat his harmonic balancer off every time he ran because the front end was sky high.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the worst sandbagger ever, but I wanted to win so bad it changed my whole driving style.
So that's what we want. We want to highlight something different.
Right.
We want to highlight actually beating someone.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've seen you guys drive, okay? And I've seen Ziz drive. I've seen Toby drive. And you guys all do the same thing. You wait for someone to mess with you, mm-hmm. and then it is on. I mean, the light just flips.
Yep.
The switch flips, and you guys take care of business. Why can't we get that everywhere?
Nobody wants to tear their cars up. I'll be honest with you. That Joe Linke up north, he's got the big motors and stuff, and he'll blow that thing up in 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He's bred different.
Mm-hmm.
He don't care. Toby, he wants to run his car. He's gonna run that car he ran in Iron City for the next 3 years, 4 years. And then he's going to get tired of it and sell it. Mm-hmm. All right. That's what's going to happen with that car. Ziz, same way. They don't want to tear it up. And then you got that ego part again. I don't want to be able to say he beat me.
I know, man, but don't you? We have to have it as a sport.
You have to have.
We need to have a pecking order.
Yeah, as much as I hate the WWE saying that I've said 50 times with them shutting off and everything's predetermined and all that, you want that animosity, that rivalry. You want people on Facebook talking smack, you want them to do that. But how do you get that and have people not take it too far, too serious?
Look, I think sometimes it does need to be taken too far, and then that's where you find the line, right?
Yeah.
Because and I know that if you got a rivalry going on, you had a little bit of a rivalry last summer.
Oh yeah.
It motivates you.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't make the Derby because I forget what reason. Maybe I was working on my Iron City car or something, but I'll be damned if I didn't tune in.
Right. Yeah. Me and Joey, me and Travis Nichols and Levi Oglesby, and we had some little disagreements, and I was like, well, where are you running? And he said, I'm running here. I was like, well, we'll be there.
Why can't we get more of that, Fatty?
And I swear to you, Dustin, I bet there was 1,000 people that come to Kenton Derby just to watch it. And it didn't take, but we got it on for 5 minutes, and it's still talked about right now. What should be talked about is after that, the Allen boys kicked our ass. but I mean, they got some good stuff.
They're really good.
But and everybody thinks that me and Travis doesn't like each other. If you get on Travis's Facebook, I was busting his balls this morning. We got it out of our system.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't let our egos get it in. And Travis is a big dude. He gets angry before, and the Kenton people up there, they're feisty. So before the Derby even started, me and Travis, we got into it at a Derby over my car. I thought some things. He thought some things. So we just decided we're going to get it on. So before we went out on the track, I pulled Travis to the side. I said, Travis, we're good buddies. I said, I've brought my crew, and they get rowdy. I know your crew gets rowdy, but I told my crew to keep their mouth shut. And he did the same thing. It was just a mutual respect. We went out there, we got it on. After the Derby, we was hugging and kissing on each other. And it's talked about now. We make fun of each other,
So that's, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but that's the shit that sells.
Oh, and it was awesome.
That is what, if you want the WWE type stuff, you need a little bit of that, but it can't be fabricated, right? No. It's got to be real.
Yes.
It's got to happen, and there's got to be a winner and a loser.
Right.
I know Travis was disappointed losing that.
Oh yeah, because it would have been a lot better if he didn't have the dry shaft issues and stuff.
But look, dude, this is the UFC with cars. There's one punch knockouts sometimes.
Oh yeah, you guarantee it. Yeah.
And then there's 5-round wrestling matches.
Yeah.
But that's how stars are made.
Oh yeah.
And that's, we need that as a sport, and
it's just like you and Little Tim.
Sure.
And Big Tim. You guys got it on. But nobody really went with it. You know what I mean?
Well, they did at the show, right?
Right.
And then afterwards they covered it, but it was more, I mean, there were some things after that were, funny here and there.
Right.
But we need that media aspect to follow that, because that's what you did this summer with Travis, what we just did over in PA. Yes, there has to be winners and losers, and you never want it to be like too personal.
Right.
But I mean, damn, I mean, it is personal. Some of that. I don't want to freaking lose. right.
No,
okay.
No.
I'm not going there to get my ass kicked.
Right.
But we gotta, I don't know. I mean,
it's once again, it's people don't care to lose. They don't care. They
need to care. It needs to mean something.
But and it does to a guy like you or me anymore. But this new generation of Derby drivers, it's not, and it's sad, because our sport's great. It's very entertaining,
extremely entertaining.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a million reasons to fight with somebody. I mean, me and Travis could pick a fight with each other every day. Actually, he put a post on Facebook this morning. I was like, "Don't tell me how to live my life." That quick.
Yeah.
But it's tough, because I don't know if people can do it and not take it too far, where they're going to want to fist fight and this and that.
Even that, I mean, hell, they encourage that in NASCAR.
Well, that's what got NASCAR started.
That's
that first fight.
So it feels like in our, and this is funny, but this is real. It feels like in our world, when it gets that far, it's too far, and everyone kind of says, "Hey, we don't want that black guy."
Right.
But if we can harness that and kind of shape it and mold it and keep it within, like,
Yeah, because the reason that guy just paid $20 to watch that Derby, he wants to watch two hillbillies. He don't give a shit who it is. Hit head on, one guy fly on in the hood and die right in front of him. That's what he come to watch. That's what he wants.
Yeah, or he wants to see him after they get done junking each other. He wants to see them get out and fight.
Yeah, scream, yell at each other, whatever. Yeah, no, I get it. But like you said, the prefabricate. But you can almost prefab it at that point.
No, it's always better when you don't.
Well, I know, but they wouldn't know.
Yeah, we're not smart enough to
no, that's what I'm saying. You would have to do that.
We're not good enough. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't have the physique to take my shirt off and stuff. So.
Oh hell, I ain't doing that. Nobody wants to see that.
But to get the rivalries, because when I grew up, my dad and Timmy, they derbied against the Allen boys. I mean, we hated each other. Mm-hmm. Even when I was a kid, I didn't like the Allens. I love them now. We could all get along great now. But I loved the Derby was different when the Allen boys pulled in. We was there. You were sitting there. They had that square body red rollback. When they pulled in, I was like, I loved that truck, but I hated it because they were good, and I knew it was on, but it changed the whole atmosphere of the Derby when they pulled in. Everybody was up and I'm sure if we went to Lima, it was the same way, everybody in their car, oh, look who's here,
There's nothing more satisfying, I think, than pulling into a Derby and all the eyes come to you.
Yeah.
And you got to roll through.
Like, I've thought of so many theme songs to play on my radio, but I just can't think of anything cool enough. So what I did, I went and got my windows tinted and I leave them all the way up. And I hate running a roof sign because I'm old school. So if I don't have a roof sign, everybody's like, who the hell's this? Then you jump out like an idiot. But then to aggravate Toby, I don't know if you've seen the tag on my truck. It says I won dent.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. I showed him at King of Ohio, and it looked like somebody ran across the yard and kicked his dog, like beat it to death. He was like, "Whose is that?" And I was like, "That's mine." And you could just tell that he was so disappointed in himself that he hadn't thought about it in the last 20 years to go get that tag on anything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Oh man.
But to get it to get the rivalries, I don't know. I mean, if you want, I'll beat Toby up at King of Ohio if that'll get you more ratings.
Can we get it? Yeah, hell, it'll get us ratings, but who's covering it, right? We got to have someone to cover it.
I would fight Jordan Rutherford, but he's just not tall enough.
No.
I mean, he's not tall enough. I give him so much shit. Every time I see him, I'm like, man, I thought you'd be a lot taller.
You guys can grow the same damn beard, though.
Yeah, well, we're men. Yeah. So,
that kind of hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're men. So, the boys, I swear.
Could you imagine a Pete Hansen drawing a Toby Hiley, drawing a Trace Braun?
Okay, at the end of the day, my prediction is, I'm not going to say who I think would do it. One of them shuts off and goes to your second round.
Really?
Yep, they don't.
But could you imagine if we could get that
because
actually happen?
Well, you could, just accidentally pull their chips. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we don't do that.
Well, you do it in the bathroom anyways. That's what everybody said.
Yeah. Here we go. We'll have to edit that one out.
Yeah. No, to get them on there, I'll be honest with you, I think Pete would have to understand that he's the odd man out. I mean, at the end of the day, the format tries to eliminate that. But if you get Trace Braun and Toby Hiley on the same track, they're going to run together.
You think so?
Absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
I don't.
Absolutely.
I think there will be some politicking towards that, but I do not think that Toby Hiley would willingly not take a shot on Trace, knowing he has to beat Trace or vice versa.
The only thing I know is Pete Hansen's going to have a bad day because they're going to wear Pete out. I'm telling you, they're from Ohio. They got to stick together. And at the end of the day, they're going to get it on, but I say Pete has a bad
so
day
let's throw someone else in it. Who else would be a good one?
A good one. Let's throw Zach Pryor.
Okay.
You don't know. I mean, you've heard of Zach.
I know Zach.
Great driver. Probably one of the most underestimated drivers in Ohio.
Okay.
He puts not a wave or a ripple, but a big wave in their pond because he's fast. He runs good. Nobody really knows what the hell he's going to do. He can either sandbag or he could be a mad dog.
Okay.
I still say Pete has a bad day because they're all from Ohio. Now you take Pete Hansen, Corey Roman, and Toby Hiley, and Trace. You got a hell of a heat, but it's a team heat at that point.
Yeah, you don't want it to be a team heat. That's why you go to 3.
Yeah, you do the 3. So at the end of the day, the one guy's like, now say you have, we'll just say Toby Hiley, Pete Hansen, and PJ Shar from out west.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a whole different ball game, because PJ don't give a damn if Toby Hiley's out there or Pete Hansen's out there. We're here to party, you know. So that changes everything. I think Toby has a hard time because PJ's going to hit him just as fast as he hits Pete.
So don't you think the Derby world deserves to see some shit like that?
Yeah, you need more call outs.
Well, it's hard to do the call outs because it's a 3, right? And then let's say if you called me out and then whoever the third guy was, he more than likely would side on you, right? Or one of us, right? So then it would be tough in the 3. But you just need them drivers to sign up. That's what you need, because then you get that. Because look, we just spent the last 10 minutes going through hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Right? The same shit that happens at Blizzard Bash, because those teams are so good.
Oh, God.
It's hypothetical who draws who. Right. And which is really cool. That's just the team side of it, though.
Right.
What about the individual side? What about if you started to make that hierarchy through that? Like, that's insane, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's you'd have it, you know. I mean, that would be it, you know. But to do that, it's
what
I
50. Hey, 50 grand hasn't quite got 100. So
50 grand. If that don't do it, I mean, I don't. I mean, you might have to give him a new truck or something, Dustin. I don't know what
50 grand's about a new truck.
I know, but maybe the 50 and the truck. You got enough Derby cars out here. We could probably get a truck.
Yeah, we could probably get a truck. But damn.
No, I to be honest with you, the money's great. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people like out west, like Teddy Papadopoulos, Rob Hewer. I mean, the list goes on and on with those guys. They want to. It's not about money to them. You know, don't get me wrong. Money's nice, but for me, we're going to go run Bill Merritt's team show in April. I think if we end up winning it, we'll win $2,500. So at that point, we'll have that going to the Derby. You know, so it's not about the money. It's we want to go up there. We want to spend the time. So I don't know if money is a thing that attracts Demolition Derby guys.
Well, you got to pull on those egos enough to where the Tobys and the Trace come out and say, look, I am the baddest dude out here.
Like, I could probably start that fight, but I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Well, I
mean, so you're saying we almost need a shit stirrer in this.
Yeah,
sport.
like there's got to be somebody that says, hey, look.
Yeah, this guy said this about your mama.
Well, you know, I mean, whatever it takes to get them on the track together, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, unless you do like okay, say the Bash this year, they didn't take the risk of taking entries. They invited people. You think that would work individually? Like, listen, this is what I want. You know, say, because you know as well as I do, 100 people show up, you're going to get 60 to 70 cars, you know. So you say you want 100, you invite 130. That'd be tough to sit down and figure out who is the top 130 guys in the country to invite.
The only thing I've seriously thought about that, and that might be the way to go. But the reason why we haven't done that to this point is because I was scared that we would leave like myself out. Right. Or the 19-year-old fatty out, right? That's nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody knows how good that guy can be. And I'm not saying I'm on those guys' caliber, but I want the chance, right?
Right.
And I don't want to leave that guy out. I don't want to leave that Brian Cassidy, that Seth Rutherford out. So that's tough, right?
Yeah, it is tough.
Because people get
but at the end of the day, no disrespect to anybody. Nobody wants to watch Fatty Clark. They want to watch Trace. They want to watch.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm a county fair legend, dude. I mean, you know, but
people do want to watch you.
To get the big name guys there, you're going to have to hurt some feelings, because to get what you want, you're going to have to leave somebody behind, and it sucks. But that's where you just let them know this isn't your caliber of show. You don't want to run here at this point, because these dudes are bad dudes. You know, it's just like the UFC. you don't just start in the UFC. I mean, you're not fighting for on a pay-per-view in the UFC. Hell, you could be a UFC fighter and never be on television.
Yeah.
You know, so at some point, if you want to know, you just got to have that show. You know, somebody's going to have to take the risk, put up the money, and just invite. And then you're just going to have to be there or be scared. Yeah. You know, and call them out. You know, call them out. Be like, hey, you know, say, Joe Linke, you ain't sent your entry in yet. You know, right on Facebook. I mean, be that shit stirrer.
Yeah.
Scared.
Well, look, I'm perfect. I'm like you, man. I'm perfectly fine doing that.
Right.
Just when you're running a business, you got to be careful because
I know.
Like there is real money on the line.
Right, absolutely.
And you know, you got to pay the money, right? Yep. I mean, you say you're going to pay the money, you have to pay the money.
You have to pay the
money. It's just the way it is, but it's tough on that side. I wish somebody else would be the shit stirrer.
Right,
you know,
right. I'll keep an eye out for you. I'll try to provoke somebody to do it, but you would need somebody that people would actually listen to is the problem. You know,
and respect, right?
Respect,
and have good opinions.
But I mean, to get the guys there that you would need, I think it means a lot to somebody if you would send them an invitation. You know, that tickles their fancy a little bit, rubs their belly, makes them feel special. You know, so that's one thing I think that with the team show at the Bash, that's the one thing that they did do right. Now, did they leave out a bunch of great teams? Absolutely. There's a bunch of guys, but they took what they thought was the best of the best for teams around this area and, you know, surrounding areas, and didn't want to risk it. And they from the list of it, they did all right. You know what I mean?
They did good.
Yeah, there's some great teams on there. It's going to be a great derby, but at the end of the day, it's still a team show. It's not derby. There's a difference.
And that's where we are like 100%. We agree, man.
Yep.
It's
two different events.
A team show is not what I saw growing up.
No. Demolition Derby is a single player event.
Yeah.
You know, you got one guy that wins it all. You know, he's got to run his feature. That, you know, there's no two first places. You know, and a team show there's four.
No shutting off.
Yeah.
You got a guy that when he maybe doesn't even pull on the track for the feature and he wins.
Yeah, wins.
I mean, I get it, dude, because those guys out there at Blizzard Bash, they win that derby in the pits.
While we're talking about that, we you haven't talked about this. Say you put on that big of a show, pays $50,000 to win. What's your opinion on if one of your cars doesn't pass inspection the first time through? Should the whole team be punished, or are they punished enough? Or are they punished enough having to run with three? That's the question I get asked.
I believe they're punished enough having to run with three because they are so handicapped. I mean, that's like being in the UFC, right? And saying, all right, well, one hand's taped closed.
Right.
Like what, you know, it's just all, you can't grapple with it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just taped closed.
Yeah. I was just wondering because I get asked that all the time.
I think you could have multiple opinions on it and still be, I don't think anyone's wrong.
No, me neither. Because you could look at it both ways because it is a team event.
Yeah.
So if you're one person on your team don't pass, I'll go home. You know.
But you know, you already know that
all the money.
There's too much.
Like I couldn't afford to run there. Hats off to them guys down there.
Well, Jason Brodzinski just won it, and they had a team of 3.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they all get sent home?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
You just can't. You can't do that.
Yeah, but see, that's what I said too. Yeah. I think the caliber show that it is. I think that, like you said, the handicap that you're going out there with 3 is just unbearable. You know.
I don't even know. Like that's pretty hard to overcome.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure.
Hell, and Jason. I mean, you obviously watch Blizzard Bash. I mean, Jason did it by himself, basically, in the feature because Songaluski went out real early.
I mean, they're real tight with the Johnson Wrecking Crew guys. They're a different name now. I forget what it is. XP Derby parts. Yeah. You know, they're
so he wasn't alone.
He wasn't per se alone, but yeah, he was his last teammate running. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's a tough show, man. I mean, did you know how you felt after Iron City? Try to run that 3 days in a row like that because they run so much.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had a kid the next day.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's impressive. That's impressive.
That was a whole nother adventure.
Yeah, like how long was you home before you had to go to the hospital?
We went straight to the hospital.
No.
Yeah. So, a lot of people don't know this story, but we went, look, I couldn't not show up.
Right.
All right. So I had these conversations with my wife, like, hey, look, we've got a little bit of a beef going on here.
Right.
Like, the last thing I'm going to do is not show up.
Right.
Okay. And so our due date was a week before the Derby, and our Case wasn't coming, and Dawson was late too. We had to schedule him, and Case, who was my second boy, he wasn't coming. All right. So on that Friday, I made an agreement with my wife. We will go to the doctor and we will find out how close she is to having the kid. Right.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, nowhere near. Like, there's no way we're going to have to schedule Case just like we did Dawson. And I said, hallelujah. Right.
Perfect.
And it's like, we're going to the Derby. We're packing up, we're putting the car in a trailer in the morning. We're rolling. Well, here at the Derby, she didn't even tell me this. Okay. So at the Derby, she knew, look, you have these fights and rifts with your family because you're so dedicated to this sport.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
This and that, and you spend all the time in the garage and all this. And my wife knew how much this meant to me to go run this. I don't run that often.
Right.
And how much we put into the car and all that stuff. And she, God bless her, what she did is she wasn't supposed to be doing anything. Okay. So she was getting the car seat out of her car, and her knee gave out when she stepped out and she fell down.
Oh shit.
And she went into labor because of that.
Really?
That's how that started.
No
so she went into labor, and we didn't run till about 8:30. She goes into labor. Oops. She goes into labor at 6:30. Doesn't tell me. So I run the event, wait 2 hours, run the event. We drive straight back here. I get back here like 4:30 in the morning, and Case is born at like 9:15, 9:16. Yeah. So she didn't tell me, but that's how that went down. She wasn't supposed to go into labor.
Right.
Like, and I tell that story because I think some people would look at us and say, you're kind of a bad dad,
Right. No,
like
we checked.
Yeah. Like, we had everything checked, and then
Right.
her knee gave out and she went into labor. That's and wild. It was crazy.
Yeah.
The people at the hospital looked at me like, cause I came there muddy as hell.
All dirty.
Yeah. They looked at me like, what are you doing? Like, I felt like if you were a race car driver, right, you would have came in there and everyone would have been like, oh yeah, congrats.
Right.
But me, they're like, freaking Derby driver.
See, dude, I'd have walked in with my belt on and everything.
I brought the belt.
I'd have had that something got on.
They dropped me off. So they dropped me off at the hospital, and then we went home, a couple of days later, a day and a half later.
Yeah, I seen the picture with the belt. The baby. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's good stuff.
It was pretty incredible to win that show.
Oh yeah.
Because anytime I think you can win a $10,000 show is huge, but just everything that went into it, I really didn't have any expectations to win the show because I knew what was going down beforehand.
Right. Absolutely.
And usually when you get in those wars, you're hurt too much. And I just got lucky and didn't get hurt too bad.
Right. Well, you blew the nose off their car. I mean, it was pretty blatant. Your car.
Well, yeah.
Well, you had a mid plate and stuff.
Yeah, I showed you all that.
I know.
Showed you all that.
There is not a mid plate on his car.
Fatty clarified. Okay,
yeah,
I took him.
I've seen it.
Yep,
I've seen it.
There is no mid plate on that car.
Yeah, nothing.
And do you really think a mid plate is what holds everything together? Why are people so obsessed with that?
With the mid plate, I have no idea, because I run a front plate bottom cradle. I don't run a training brace. We run, you can't even have a distributor protector for the class we run now.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're so upset, because I took my old stock wagon last year. My old pro stock wagon.
Yeah.
And, front plate bottom cradle. And I mean, we hung with them Allen boys for at least 10 minutes, I'd say, before they drove through us. But no, I don't understand it. And like me and you was talking, the creativity that you put into your car there. At what point does people, you said it was creativity. There's 1,000 people on the internet says it's cheating.
Yeah. So
at what point did the Derby, the cheating or creativity replace cheating? How'd that happen?
Well, we felt like we found gray areas in the rules, right?
Yeah.
And Steve Siopa is a really creative builder himself, right?
Oh yeah,
A creative builder, right?
Burrows.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, those guys over there building those cars, and they invited that type of stuff, right? They got on a podcast and said hey, we like creativity.
Right.
So
and as long as they put that out there like that, that's fine.
So we got creative. We started thinking. We started thinking here in the garage. And look, we weren't the only ones. I mean, Toby, Rutherford's were doing I don't know if we put it out there, but I mean, they were doing some funky things with their fix-it plates, which were pretty neat.
Oh yeah.
On those sedans. Now they got the quarters kind of beat in, and they lost their body bolts, and that obviously made it go to shit. But I mean, there was a lot of creative stuff over there.
Yeah, and see, that's I hate that. I like just.
I know we talked about it,
but I mean, to me, that has a lot to do with where the Derby, because you're so unsure, I mean, like, to me, to build rules for that, it would drive me crazy.
So for our show, just so everyone knows kind of where we stand for our show, right. We do a 5 infraction and you get 2 fix-it plates. We want people to be as close to the rules as you can. And we try to give you as good a car because, dude, you and I know that you pay 25, 50,000. People will overbuild so much that inspection might be 3 weeks long.
Right.
So you can't have that. Right.
Yep.
So we don't encourage that at our show as much. Like, yeah, you can look into the rules here and there, but like, look, you better call. You better understand, because.
Right. And to me, I think that's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to run it that way, because then you don't have the guy that don't understand that. Oh, that didn't even run the Derby on the internet complaining about this or that.
Well, look, it is entertainment though, right? We talked about that. So people were talking about it. Yeah. And I just don't understand the mid-plate obsession. Right. Because if you looked at that, I don't care. You don't need a mid-plate.
No, you don't need the mid-plate there.
No. But we had enough. We had to make sure we had enough. It was 2-on-1, Fatty.
Oh, you did. You had enough. You had plenty.
Yeah.
You had plenty.
You had to make sure you had enough. And look, there's going to be a time when I don't have enough too. You know that. It comes around.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I just hope Travis don't get me, because I'll never hear the end of that.
Yeah. I think you're all right.
Well, I think he's going to trucks. I've seen his truck.
It felt like Travis might have been a little more hurt over that than Tim.
Yeah.
Tim and Timmy was.
Well, me and Travis, we hugged it out. So
I hope he took it hard. I mean, that was a wagon, that he. Yeah. But look, Fatty,
he still got it though. I mean, yeah.
If you got to settle something, you got to settle something.
I guess.
So,
but yeah, no. That's a lot of the problem with the creativity part of it, because, like you said, like, you could have got right on there and explained, this is why he has it. Says it right in our rules. This is the guideline. Well, if they're open to the creativity, that should have been promoted.
Well, they were not open to the creativity. Everyone kind of mistaken about that. They made me cut that thing up and use my fix-it plates and this. I mean, I didn't cut it all the way apart, but well, they weren't happy when I rolled through.
Right. And then you're right. You did. I think you did good. I think you did really good.
Fatty, I don't know if Fatty lets it fly in his inspection, but
no. I would not let any type of Grand Prix bumper bracket ever run. Or
is that what that came off of?
I don't know. It's a 72 something. I mean, it's insane. When it's touching your hump plate,
that's where you get. It's all that's
and don't get me wrong, them cars are badass. They're just not for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't think that I ever look down on you, because hats off to you guys for spending the time to put all that together and the research that which one is the longest bumper bracket. It's just not for me.
Well, the line needs to be drawn, and they drew the line. Next year, they're not allowed.
Right. And Nick King, he tries his best over there. But when you got some of the best guys in the, you're gonna find out. You got like Adam Williams coming this year. He gonna shake things up. You ever expect it when Adam's coming?
They've been sending me some pictures. It's a 76 Chevy wagon. And
I don't know.
I wonder if they'll stop sending pictures in about a month.
Yeah,
because they just stripped it.
Yeah, after the first of the year, you're probably not getting
no more pictures.
No more of them. But like somebody like him, you know, he's going to shake things up at your show. You know, just that one guy. You know, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, there's a couple coming with him from that neighborhood.
Yeah. I didn't want to spill the whole beans. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's good. Your show's picking up, buddy. You'll be fine, I think.
Oh, we're gonna be fine. I want to get to that 100 though. I want to get that 100 mark. It'll be tough to get there.
Right.
But there's a lot of interest and a lot of people haven't signed up yet. Everyone wants to know how many entries. Well, I tell them it's over 50, under 100.
Right.
That's what it is.
I'd tell them, be like, there's like 95. There's only 95 spots left.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I just tell them that, like, because, you know, I mean, heck, there's some pretty big names that are out there that haven't signed up, that are already working on cars. They're already.
And see, you know, them guys, why would they tell? Like, I can't keep a secret. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm running here. You know, I'm running here.
Yeah. Look, there's plenty of people that they want that secret. Really? And they don't want anyone to know. And some of the people won't run our show because we put that driver's list out there. I mean, eventually we're going to put.
Why that is? I've never been that way. Like, I couldn't wait to be on the Dents roster.
I couldn't wait till they put Iron City out. Yeah. And then I almost felt like they put all not the good guys in one heat, but they kind of stack at heat.
Right.
And everyone was like, man, that's a tough heat. I'm like, yeah, but why would you not want that heat?
Right.
Like, you just, that's the way I was.
Yeah, like that roster, like when I won Dent, Todd Dubay had a newspaper made. It said Dent. When you opened it, it had heat one. Because your heats were predetermined. Like, you didn't get to pick your number or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, my number was 304. I was the fourth person to enter in the third heat. That's how the entries come in.
Okay.
Like Timmy Hibbett, he was 104. He was in the first heat. Yeah. Yep. And that was kind of cool though. You know.
I like that. I like that a lot. Mount Pillier did that for a long time.
Yeah.
The only thing that on that is, like, we want you guys to build your brands.
Oh, yeah.
And there's something about people recognizing your number.
Oh, yeah.
We live in a sport with helmets, right?
Well, just ask you a question. Skull and crossbones was the first thing that comes to your mind.
It's bronze.
Yeah. You know, you're right.
Exactly. They've done a good job of branding themselves that,
for sure.
Right? And I think that sells.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 104 or 304, I'm looking for, where the hell's Fatty's car?
Right.
And it might take me an hour to find it, or maybe it's just the style of build I recognize. Because, like, Toby will do that stuff sometimes. 127, 422, whatever other number he runs. I'm like, that's got to be Toby's car.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you can really tell there's really hot spots all over where he's cutting on it at the Derby.
Yeah, white paint
everywhere. Yeah, Toby. I'm gonna tell you a story about me and Toby. Toby didn't talk to me for a long time. He had old Tinkerbell. I'm sure you've heard about Tinkerbell.
I know all about Tinkerbell. Well, this car he's got now is Tinkerbell 2.0.
Yeah, by the way. Yeah. Well, he had some layers on some body parts, and he kind of told me like 2 weeks before we was talking and stuff. Well,
it ripped.
Well, no, he come to Preble.
Yeah.
Well, I'm head official at Preble. I'm like, Toby, you gotta cut that layer off. Well, there was like 6 layers on this thing. All right. Well, fast forward 2 or 3 years later, well, maybe even 10 years later, I was running Freedom Hall. My car went down in the back. I seen Toby out in the parking lot. I said, Toby, how do I fix that? He goes, I've waited I forget how long it was to tell you this. He said, I'd tell you how to fix it, but you'd tell on me and I'd have to fix it. And he turned around, walked away, wouldn't tell me how to fix it. I was so mad at him.
He was waiting on that.
He waited his whole life for that.
Yeah.
But
Tinkerbell.
Oh, that's a bad car, dude.
Tinkerbell, what did he name that wagon he had?
Dude, he's had one named Stetson. He's had all kinds of names for these cars. I don't name them. Like, mine's just called the wagon. You know,
I don't name them either.
Yeah, he's got names.
But he's got names.
Like, he had a sticker, a Tinkerbell sticker on it. I think that's how Tink got her name, because I think Liberty put a Tinkerbell sticker on it. And then he had the Stetson one. He was stripping one, and it had Stetson cologne in it.
Yeah,
and it was just god awful. He's ridiculous.
He comes up with something. That thing, this new car he's got. I mean, geez.
Oh, that thing's insane. Oh, except for them stupid tires he runs on the back. But
I don't know. Those aren't Ruts Fab tires. What's he doing? I mean,
I'd poke a hole in them if I was Ruts. You know, what's funny about Toby and tires, when all these D50s and you know, the little tires come out, people running on the front. I was like, Tobe, I think I'm gonna buy a set of them 550s. He's like, well, you get a lot of flats on the front with your 700s. I was like, no. He's like, yeah, I'd fix that. I was like, you're such an asshole.
And you know what? It's so true though.
Right.
Because it's like, it takes someone like Toby to say it to you, and you're like, God damn.
He's right. He's right. Oh, I rode 10 hours to Kansas with him. We were looking up what the skirts on the bottom of a semi-trailer was because we didn't know what they were called. It was ridiculous. But
if you get in a conversation with Tobe, it's going to be a lot of rabbit holes.
Yes. Yeah.
He is.
Well, just mind you, you're not allowed a distributor protector on the class I was running at the time.
Yeah.
We had Joker on the phone researching magnets that we could put in the door or in the dash bar to keep the engine from coming back and keeping it forward. Magnets.
Yeah.
But we couldn't figure out how it wouldn't mess up the distributor, so he's going to have to run a Ford engine. We couldn't figure it out. Yeah. And this is all, I mean, we talked about this for 7 hours.
Oh yeah.
Joker's looking up magnets. He's like, this one here's $600. I think it'll hold. He was like, but we could do it if like an official puts his watch on your bar. You ain't gonna be able to get you got tools and shit. So just stuff like that's fun with Tobe.
Is that cheating or is that competing?
Well, if I'm running, it's compete.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, everybody used to ask me when I worked for Smash It. They're like, well, you cheat. I was like, yeah, but I don't run for Smash It.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Exactly.
You know? And you know, a lot of people cheat to go drive through people. I get a kick out because I cheat. I ain't gonna lie. I don't cheat on all my cars, but a lot of them are cheating. Just blatantly cheated.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I don't do it so I could go drive through people. I want to test the guy looking at it. I want to see. A lot of officials are very overrated in this world because they talk. You know, anybody can talk to a car, but I want to see you and that I get a kick out of that. That's my niche for cheating.
Well, and when you say cheated, I mean, look, there's difference between taking a county fair car that they let anything fly at,
right, or
taking something that everybody's pushing it, right? Yeah. I wouldn't even call it cheat. I'd say pushing it. Right. Everybody's pushing that envelope when you go run those shows. And that's what's neat, I think, is what you're saying is, hey, like, you know, hey, can you find it?
Yeah.
Can you find this? Can you find that? Because I had to do this to get to that. And, and 2 + 2 = 4, but over here, you know, all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get a kick out of that because and I never throw it in their face. Whether they catch me or not, I don't tell anybody. It's just one of those ha-ha moments.
It's competing.
You know,
it's competing. And that's the way it should be, though. I think that stuff does need to stay in the inspection line, whether you get caught or not, because, you know, look, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into these cars and building these stuff.
Absolutely.
And you got grown men are going to compete.
Oh yeah.
So just because you caught something on one car, dude, somebody got away with something. Oh, we talked about this in the garage.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Dude, somebody's getting away with something.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to figure out how the Bronze keeps their front ends down for 10 years. I still can't figure it out. And I've had guys up underneath their steering wheels. I've had guys everywhere.
I've looked at their stuff.
I mean,
personally, I've had it on a lift and looked at it and said, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, all right, what's
everybody talking about?
What's out of the ordinary here?
Right.
Looks like a 76 Chevy wagon to me.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and what's impressive about them, like, their A-arms are clean. You see my A-arms, they got 100,000 miles worth of grease on, not theirs. They look brand new. And you know they're a 76 Chevy A-arm. They just take the time. And everybody's like, oh, they're cheating. No, they're not. They're taking 20, 25 little things that you would never even think about and putting it all together. And it all works. That's what it is.
Yeah. And look, maybe they know something.
Oh, they know some stuff.
Maybe they know something that they're so far ahead of the game that it's you know, no one can catch up. But there's bronze. There's more than just bronze.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just say them because I deal with.
But damn, they're at the top.
Oh yeah, they're right up there.
Yeah, right? So it's pretty impressive. Well, hey man, that's been a great conversation.
Oh, I think we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, 9 minutes away.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be the shit stirrer, but we'll have to do this again.
We'll have to do this again. I always wanted to critique derbies, like at the end, like watch them and critique them, or do what you guys do on Track Shop, but from home.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do something like that sometime.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down, buddy. Yeah. Can I say hi to my buddy Skinny? Hope you feel better.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Everybody. I think everybody's rooting for him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's he could use some prayers right now. But
is he going to be all right?
Yeah, I think he God don't want him right now.
Okay.
I can tell you that. So, but no, I think he's got some stuff. They're going to run some tests on him. He's got some kidney stuff but it's a family thing. His whole family's always had kidney issues. They just got to get him lined out. They're working real hard on him, and he's fighting every day. So they'll get him.
I know he's in good hands. How he's commenting on Facebook the other day.
Yeah, we got to tell him. Like, he was talking about his blood sugar. He's like, calm down.
He's getting all fired up.
We're all in a big track shot group, and we try to keep in touch with him all the time. So, but yeah, if everybody just say a little prayer for him, it'd be great. So.
All right, appreciate it, man. Well, that is episode 9 of the War Room,
Whew,
and that's a good one.
That's a good
one, folks.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.